No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour. Need sleepy. Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. And it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. And joining me right now, live, all the way from St. Simon's Island and all the way from a mystery location, please welcome Sal, Rocky Ceniocola, and the infamous Jeremy C. What's up, fellas?
Billy.
Hey. Morning, Billy. How are you?
Oh, you know, I'm stumbling a little bit today, man. You know, I have my coffee already, and I thought everything would go smooth. You know, since I've been doing this for 13 years, and I got some butterflies a little bit, and you know, some of the equipment that I've tested so diligently over the last week, of course, is not working the way I want. But hey, you know, we're live, so all must be good, right?
Well, it all must be good. And you know what? That's how we learn how to roll with the punches. And we continue to evolve and make it work. That's all.
You know, we got a lot of stuff.
I have a drinking game for this morning, Bill.
Oh, no. Yeah, every time I make a mistake.
Me and Sal are going to play. So if we get a little tipsy as the show goes on, every time you call the show talking boxing by accident, we're going to drink.
You know, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because that's something that I was really nervous about, that I wasn't going to be able to, refer to this show as the right name. But listen, before we get started, I mean, we got some discussions to talk about with some boxing events over the weekend. I'm sure, Sal, you got some thoughts on the Andre Ward fight that took place over the weekend. I know I've been seeing and hearing different opinions of the performance, but we'll get to that. I got some emails to read. I also have some news to talk about. And other stuff, you know, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that's watching or listening on the live stream right now that you can come on into the chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com and chat with some of the other fellas that are in there, or ladies, whatever, and we could go from there. Hey, first and foremost, let's talk a little about this show, Jeremy. I mean, you were around in the beginning, 13 years ago. Can you believe we've been doing this 13 years?
That's crazy. 13 years ago, we were set up in Snoop's boxing gym with the police sirens going off, trying to record a show.
That's right. I'm choking on my coffee out of my really tasty Billy C. Morning Show mug here.
Sal, did you get a Billy C. Morning mug? I don't have a Billy C. Morning mug.
You know, I don't have a Billy C. Morning mug. I have this one I bought in Winn-Dixie, as a matter of fact.
I'm drinking one from the dollar store.
Yeah.
No, Walmart.
Hey, listen, I'm going to
Sal, you know, we're not treated very well around here, Sal. He's got a fancy Billy C. mug. Look, he's got two. I'm looking at him on the line. He's got two Billy C. mugs. How many do you have, Sal?
One is a prop, okay? One is actually, not only is this one a prop, but this one is actually got coffee in it, you know.
So
but,
Bill's such a fancy man. He's got a Billy C. mug with coffee in it, and he's got an empty one. I got no Billy C. mugs. Sal has no Billy C. mugs.
I was thinking of taking the prop and smashing it on air. I was like in favor, you know, in remembrance of like the Who or something. You know, I could smash the mug, but no, you guys will get it. It's just that I had to take out a second mortgage on my house just to get these mugs, you know, in time for the show. I mean, I didn't think mugs were so expensive, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't know. I never got a fancy mug.
Hey, before we get going anymore, I got to say who this show, today's show is being brought to us in part by JKJ Boxing and their new magazine. Check out this magazine. It's for free. That's right. It's going to be coming out 4 times a year to start, and you could get yourself a free copy. Now, you could get a download copy right now by visiting our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the JKJ magazine cover, which you'll find on the right-hand side. Now, if you want to get a hard copy like the one I'm holding right here, then don't worry about it. Just sign up, and all you got to do is pay the postage, and the magazine is for free. So I like that concept. Sal, what do you think?
I think that's a great idea, man. I think that would be a great way to get that thing marketed and everything else.
I tell you, the first thing you need to do is shut your computer sound off so you're not listening to the computer because there's a delay and it's going to get a little confusing. But
I did.
Bill, I just
I
saw a new sponsor came on board.
really, uh-oh.
Yeah. You want me to do the live read for you?
Sure. Do it.
Okay.
Jeremy, do the live read to the new sponsor we got.
Yeah, today's show's also brought to you by a brand new website. It's called FancyMenWithFancyMugs.org.
There you go. Am I the feature guy?
Featuring Billy C. on their cover.
There you go. There you go, man. I knew.
Not featured is Jeremy and Sal with no mugs.
You guys will get the mugs. All right. I have to hit the local convenience store with a ski mask and a pistol, and I'll get some cash so I can get you guys a couple of mugs.
He's going to
because-
write Billy C. with a Sharpie on the mug.
Listen, you want to know the truth? Come on, these mugs. They were $25. That's what they cost me to get it to my door. All right, $25 for a friggin' mug. I mean,
I don't know, Jeremy. I got no mug and I got no mustache.
Yeah,
listen,
me too.
it
No
didn't
mug, no
even come.
mustache.
It didn't even come with coffee in it. You know, I mean, come on. You know, but anyway, you know, I got a couple of. Let's. I got a bunch of emails to read. Let me read one and see what you guys think real quick. This first one is from my man Jesse, who usually kicks off the. I like to kick off the show with an email from Jess. He says, "Hey Billy C, Andre Ward did pretty good. His speed, movement, and defense. His face was marked up. Sullivan's wasn't. Sullivan should have thrown more when he had Ward in the corners and against the ropes, and put weight on Ward. Joseph should fight." Okay, he's talking about Jojo Diaz should fight Hasawaga, Amagas, Warrington, or an Eric Hunter next. Brooks should take on mandatory Spence if he wins. Vargas, Porter, right? I agree with all of that. Now let's talk about the Ward. What did you think about Andre Ward's performance, Sal?
I thought he did pretty well. It's his first fight back in a while, and he did pretty well. I thought that Sullivan Barrera.
Talk into the mic, Sal. Talk into the mic.
I'm talking into the mic.
Right,
How's that better?
Now it is. Now what were you saying?
I said Barrera looked like he came into the fight. He came in. Round one was definitely one that he tried to do over and over again. It was the same fight over and over again. But Andre Ward definitely had his boxing skills. He was honing in, and you could see he was feeling more comfortable as the fight went on. But Sullivan Barrera gave him a little fight, and I know it was a unanimous decision. All three judges had it for Andre Ward, and I guess it was a good fight for Andre Ward to come back to. It went the distance, and he outboxed, and it was dominant. But I think Barrera, he was in the fight for a while. He was there. And they had a question about, I know that Barrera was definitely questioning Andre Ward's power moving up to the 175 mark, but he also got dropped in the third round by Ward's right hand.
Yeah, but you know something? That wasn't he wasn't hurt by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he wasn't hurt.
And I think it caught him on the top of the head, which is the equilibrium shot. And the thing is that he was kind of just shocked that the punch came. What I saw Andre Ward obvious with dominant hand speed. His footwork was good, like Jesse mentions. His movement, all good. But I saw something that a lot of fighters all of a sudden do. For some reason, Andre Ward, who's never been known as a guy with punching power, started acting like he's this knockout puncher, trying to land all his punches as hard as he could. And I think he missed the boat a little bit. Yes, he looked good. Sullivan Barrera. Do you see what I'm talking about? It must be this mug. They must put something in this mug, Jeremy. But the bottom line is, I think that he looked good against who he was fighting. I was sick to my stomach listening to the commentators anointing Andre Ward as the best fighter out there now. And after one fight, pretty much 2 fights in 5 years. Yeah, he looked good, but I got news for you, Sal. I don't think he beats Kovalev at all.
No, I tell you what, it's going to be a good fight. But, like I said, I agree with you. Andre Ward went out there, and he was touted as being so dominant and big and bad, but Barrera was constantly in front of him. Barrera actually brought the fight to him, and Ward did use his boxing skills, but I didn't see the superstar at where everyone touts Andre Ward as being. He's got to work off some ring rust, and hopefully the continuity of having one fight after another, he'll evolve to be the fighter that everyone believes he is. I know Carl King knows he's one of the best fighters out there.
Yeah, I know. So, Jeremy, what did you think of the fight?
Bill, I didn't watch the fight. I was, celebrating Easter with my family.
No, I know, but the fight was actually on Saturday night.
I knew that. I celebrate early.
Yeah, no, that's
Easter's a whole thing for me. I got my Easter bunny costume. I got eggs.
Oh, okay. You do that whole
You're
thing.
hiding those eggs, that Jeremy?
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, you got to do it up.
Yeah. So I guess his whole Easter weekend starts what? Like when
Wednesday.
No, what I was thinking is, is that when they kind of drag you out into the backyard and hang you on the cross on Friday? I mean, is that is that? I mean, that's the story, right? I mean,
go big or go home, Bill.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, listen, guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna take a short break, and we'll be back in about 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
All right. We're back, Jeremy, I think I messed up the sound sequence of these breaks and stuff.
I think you screwed up, Bill.
Yeah, it must be these mugs. I don't know, man. I don't know. Dax is already in the chat room saying that I shouldn't have ought to said the hanging Jeremy on the cross. Hey, listen. The bottom line is Jeremy just was saying how he got into Easter totally from top to bottom. I figured you started off dragging. Did they make you a crown of thorns? Did they make you a crown of thorns?
Yeah, I need somebody to come over and help me take it off, by the way.
That must be a bitch. I don't know. Anyway, some other stuff going on in sports, Sal. I know that baseball season's getting ready to start, and I don't really pay attention to the spring games or anything like that. But I will tell you this: the NCAA tournament looks like it's pretty exciting. The Orangemen, Syracuse, are back in the Final Four. Got any thoughts on that? I don't really follow basketball that much, but what about you?
I watched that game last night. I was out to dinner at one of the local restaurants, and we were watching that game, and it was good. It came back from behind. It was a good game in Syracuse, and yeah, it was good. I'm not all that up on the basketball, but the Final Four is going to be big, and the final championship is going to be biggest. Who do you like?
Who, me? Is basketball, is that the sport where they shoot the ball in the basket? I mean, no.
Hey, let me tell you something. I tried playing basketball, and I started to dribble, but I wound up drooling. Forget about it. It's not even good.
Well, the thing is that Jeremy, you never met Sal, but he's not exactly. He's kind of like me. He's height challenged. So basketball wasn't a good choice for him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I mean,
that and the fact that I can't even throw a piece of paper into the garbage.
Yeah, well, you could try throwing them into coffee mugs. Those are pretty good.
I don't have a coffee mug, Bill.
That's right. Hey, listen, I got another email to read because I got the fight results I want to get into and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But this one is from my man Joel. He says, hey, Billy C., I'm sure you read or saw that Jason Gavrin's corner pulled the plug after the fourth round saying something isn't right. Yeah, like he's taking too many punches to the head. He's made, for such an uninspiring performance, he was being stupid and a clown. The ref warned him, took a point away as the bell round sounded to end the third round. Gavrin's given a woo, and then they stopped the fight. Jason Gavrin, I don't know if you follow him at all, Sal, but Jason Gavrin is a heavyweight fighter that's the best definition of a journeyman pug that shouldn't be fighting anymore. This is a guy that takes fight. First of all, he doesn't train. He doesn't even have a trainer. And he basically takes any fight anywhere for whatever they'll pay him. And, I don't really want to knock him for doing that, trying to make a living. I'll knock him more for being an ex-cop, but that's a whole nother story. But the truth of the matter is this. He doesn't pose a challenge for anybody. Why would another fighter even want to have a Jason Gavrin's name on his resume?
That's a good question because, you want to fight credible opponents. You don't want to just fight strictly an opponent that you're going to have as a living punching bag. And I don't know. I would say unless he felt he needed a tune-up fight or something that he wanted to work some ring rust off and just go out there for nothing more than an exhibition. You don't want to fight a guy like that. I don't understand. If you're serious about stepping in the ring, I mean, let's look at some other things that have happened even over the weekend. We had this Chris Eubank Jr. fighting Nick Blackwell, and we're going to talk about that too. I think Blackwell's still in an induced coma, trying to recover from that fight. But I don't know, Bill. You have a journeyman, you have an opponent status and brand on your head. Unless you're going to do your due diligence to try to fight and be something more than just an opponent, you're going to wind up getting hurt or you're going to wind up getting punchy. And why do that to yourself unless you got nothing else better to do? It's still not worth the trouble you're gonna incorporate. You're gonna see later on in your life.
The thing though is that if the guy was giving it his all and if he was actually fighting, and trying to win these fights, you could say, yeah, well, he's in danger, he's this, but he's actually not putting himself in any danger because as soon as the going gets tough, he throws in the towel, and basically he's going to collect a paycheck, which again, I don't want to criticize the guy for trying to make a living, but the bottom line is, I think he's causing more damage to the opponent. Like, how do you give a guy credit for beating him? That's my point.
Well, what you just said, true. I mean, you talk about boxing, okay, and the old emotional. Hey, you either have a fight or a flight syndrome. Well, guess what? You're going to fight an opponent who's got the flight syndrome. As soon as the going gets tough, you land a shot. He's going to sit on a stool or say, "Hey, I've had enough." That's not the kind of credible win you want to really have on your record, if that's his MO.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing, But anyway, hey, coming up a little bit later on the show, actually, I should talk about this right now because this is something Jeremy can join in with. Now, as soon as we come back from this break, we are going to talk about the Ward fight and all the rest of the fight results. I'll run down them real quick. But I wanted to throw this one at you, Jeremy, because this is right up your alley, okay? There's a boxer who has been in the sport a long time, and he's actually retired right now, and his name is Yousef Mack. And he was a contender Not too bad. But at some point last year, he needed to make some extra money, so he starred in a gay porn film. Okay. Now,
it's not gay if it's for money, Bill.
But everybody knows that. But it got better. It got better. You see, he said that he didn't know that it was going to be a gay film. He said that he was paid $4,500 and it was supposed to be, heterosexual film. And he said that he doesn't remember anything, that they drugged him. And that, yes, that's indeed him on the screen, but he doesn't remember any of it. Then it came out that he lied, that he was not drugged, and he knew very well about it. And an article was released late last week by Diana Torgy that was written about Yousef Mack, and the whole truth has come to life. He is not gay, okay? And he claims that 100% he's not gay. But he loves transvestites. That's what he's really into. He's into trannies, and he feels that if they're carrying the extra tool in the toolbox, that doesn't matter. Whether they have it or not, it doesn't matter. He just loves transvestites. What's your thoughts?
I'm throwing up the big timeout symbol right here. Okay. Because I'm sorry. Why is this story right up my alley?
I don't know. You kind of like this.
What are you trying to say, Bill?
Wait a minute.
Well, I could have said it was right up something else, but I wanted. This is kids might be watching this show.
I'm like, what?
Well,
I don't even know about that one film I did back in 1997. I mean,
hey, listen, anybody can find out anything about anybody, and Jeremy, eventually,
damn you, Google, damn you.
Eventually, look, it's going to come out about you.
Listen, the whole tranny thing. If they still have the twig and berries down there, I'd say they're still a guy. So if you're into that, technically, I'd say I'd have to throw up a flag that you're technically gay. But whatever. To each their own.
Yeah, because I remember we used to have a really good relationship with Golden Boy Promotions, and you single-handedly destroyed that when the alleged photos came out of Oscar De La Hoya posing in fishnets and high heels. I mean, come on.
All I did was talk about it, Bill. That's what we do here. We make news on Billy C. Morning show,
we're
right?
supposed to tell news, not make news. What do you think you are, CNN? Come on,
I misread
Sal.
your email.
This guy, you hear this, Sal? I mean, the news station.
I can't believe it. I'm just keeping quiet. I'm taking it all in. I'm listening and assessing.
The news.
We report the news.
That's right. You're supposed to report it.
We don't create it
or stimulate it. That's right. Maybe stimulate isn't a good word.
I misread. I must have misread.
Hey, maybe I shouldn't have used the word stimulate to you on this story, Jeremy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope your girlfriend's not listening, because she might not have Googled. Does she know anything about Google?
I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll ask her later.
Yeah, well, that's why he fought for the love of transvestites. So interesting, I guess.
With that, I gotta go get some new fishnets today. So
there you go. See, I knew it. Hey, before we take a break, I want to leave everybody with this thought. I'm going to talk about the fights this weekend. Now, we have a Billy C Challenge, which people try to pick the fights, and I select the most common fights that are out there. Most of the time, fights that are on TV and what have you. So this weekend, we had 20 fights. 20 fights on the challenge. Now, normally, in any other sport, you would say to yourself, well, to pick 20 fights, the odds of getting 3/4 of them correct and stuff would be kind of hard, right? And if you're picking 20 baseball games or 20 football games or 20 basketball games or whatever, to get 15 or 20 right, 15 of the 20 right is pretty good, right? Well, check this out. Of the 16 players that we have on the challenge this past week, there were 16. Seven got 20 out of 20 at 100%. The next five, Sal, got 19 or 20. That's 95%.
Wow.
And the remainder of the people that played got either 17 or 18 out of 20. The lowest score we had was 17 out of 20, which is 85% accurate on selecting fights. So let me ask you this. Of the 16, and this is what I'm going to leave everyone with, and Jeremy, are you going to be back after break or what?
No. I got to go to the Fishnuts store.
Okay, good. We'll make sure you get black because that's your color. But we'll look forward to you tomorrow. But I want to leave everybody with this, if you can. I want to leave everyone with this. Do I happen to have the 16 best handicapping? I should say. Let me phrase that correctly. Do I have the 16 best boxing handicapping players that are part of our Billy C Challenge? Or are the fights so friggin' easy to pick that 7 of the 16 players got 20 out of 20, 5 got 19 out of 20? That's the question I want to leave everyone with. Sal, I'll look for your thoughts immediately. We may even open up the phone line later on. But listen, Jeremy, it was great to have you on and ridicule you a little bit. And we would love to have you come back tomorrow for some more.
All right. You guys have a great rest of the show.
All right, fellas. We'll be
Take
back
care,
in
Jeremy.
2.
The Billy C Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. The Billy C Morning Show will be right back.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Morning Show. Don't forget about Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the menu, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328. That's 912-268-2328. And make sure you tell him Billy C sent you. And speaking of Sal, Rocky Ceniocola, he's with me right now as we're in our debut for the Billy C Morning Show here in 2016. And I'm trying to get into the flow here, Sal.
Well, you know what? You're doing well, Bill. It's going to take a little bit. We're just, we're getting into the rhythm. It's like the early rounds of a fight. We're feeling each other out here, and then we're going to get into the rhythm of the fight. We're going to close it big.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. But let's get to this right now. Oh, by the way, we have a new poll question up on the website. The old poll question was who's going to win, Anthony Joshua or Charles Martin, landslide. 89% to 11% of you that voted felt that Anthony Joshua was going to win that upcoming fight. So we have a new poll question. Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, number 3. Who wins? Cast your vote right now up on BillyCBoxing.com. Speaking of fighting, that's a big fight, but let's talk about some big fights over the weekend. Andre Ward takes care of Sullivan Barrera via a 12-round unanimous decision. The scores were 117-108, 117-109, and 118-109, all in favor of Andre Ward, who dominated the fight exactly like the scorecards indicate. Andre improves to 29-0 with 15 knockouts, and Sullivan Barrera loses for the first time in his career at 17-1 right now. At the end of the fight, Andre Ward said that he gives himself a B- for his performance. And Kovalev was quoted as saying he just wants to beat Ward in front of all of his fans in Oakland. And one thing I noticed about that fight, Sal, was that for the first time that I can recall, honestly, and no disrespect to Andre Ward, but the first time that I can recall that Andre Ward actually had fans that were cheering for him. I mean, normally this is a guy, and this was one of my big hang-ups with Andre Ward, is that he doesn't normally draw well. And all of a sudden he did on Saturday night, which I give him props for. But I got news for you, Sal. In my opinion, the performance I saw, and let's be real, Andre Ward is fighting Sullivan Barrera. Now, Sullivan Barrera was, first of all, 3 years older than Andre Ward. He's ranked by the computer system at number 27. All right. I know that he was a so-called mandatory for Andre, which I don't understand how. It wasn't they claim he was the number 1 rated fighter, but the computer has him ranked at number 27. The biggest name on Sullivan Barrera's career was his win over Karo Murat back in December of last year, and he did have a win. He did have a fight, I should say. The next fight was obviously against Andre Ward. His last fight against Karo Murat, the biggest name on his resume, aside from a washed-up Jeff Lacey, who he fought earlier in that year. As far as Andre Ward goes, he had fought 3 times in 5 years, injuries, everything else. His last fight was he fought a ranked guy at number 43 by the computer. I mean, listen. Sal, his only legitimate stoppage, in my opinion, of late, and when you go all the way back, I mean, to the whole Super 6 tournament, even prior to that, in just before that tournament kicked off at the end of 2009, this guy was never known as a knockout puncher. Now, with his record 29-0 with 15 knockouts, his last legitimate knockout was against Chad Dawson in 2012. Why all of a sudden is this guy fighting like he's just got this, that he's become a heavy-handed fighter?
That's a good question, Bill. When you look at also, how many fights has he had the last 3 years? 3, 4?
No, in the
Right.
last 5 years, including the one last night, he has fought 4 times. From 2012.
Here's my problem with that. You're in a fight game. You're trying to become the best out there in your weight class and dominate and be a household name. You're looking at a span of approximately 1,500 days. And of those 1,500 days, you're applying yourself to 2 or 3 for your craft and your trade. Only 2 or 3 days. If you do the usual 6 to 8 weeks prior training and preparation, you're still looking at maybe 100 days that you're taking out of the 1,500 to think you're a fighter, to act like a fighter, and to carry yourself as one of the greatest fighters or best fighters out there today. That's hard to sell, buddy. I'll tell you, that's a hard sell to sell. A hard sell to sell.
Well, I'll tell you another.
When you,
That's easy for you to say, but the funny thing.
I was waiting for that, Bill.
The funny thing is though, is I literally was throwing up, hearing all the accolades that the announcers were giving Andre Ward. I mean, listen, the guy looked great. I mean, there's no question. His hand speed was there. He had foot movement. I'm not knocking anything to do with Andre Ward's performance, but please, how do you listen? There's another thing I noticed, all right? Whether you like Floyd Mayweather, you and I have talked about Floyd Mayweather 100 million times. We've talked about Pacquiao 100 million times, Mike Tyson 100 million times. But here's something that all three of those guys, whether you liked Mike Tyson or not, whether you like Manny Pacquiao or not, whether you like Floyd Mayweather or not, there's something that all three of them bring to the table, and it's it. It's the it factor. What is it? I don't friggin' know what it is, but you know that when a fighter or any athlete has it, that it factor, there's something special about him. Floyd Mayweather was a boring fighter in both of our opinions, Sal, but you know what? We watched him. We wanted to see him. We still talk about the guy. That's the it factor. Mike Tyson hasn't fought anybody in 20 years. We still talk about him. Pacquiao, we still talking about him. He's still active. They have the it factor. Andre Ward doesn't have it. He doesn't. He's here's a guy that was looking good, Sal. He was looking good. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I couldn't even concentrate. I was having a hard time concentrating. There's just no for some reason, there's something lacking with Andre Ward. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't think he's got that it factor. What do you think?
That's a great analogy. It really is. Because, we look at the superstars, or we look at who becomes a household name. Who do people want to talk about? And you just named all the guys that people, whether you love them or hate them, they're on the tip of everyone's tongues. They could talk about them. They could recall them. They could say something good, bad, or indifferent about those guys. Andre Ward has not really been the household name that his record would yield you to think it should be. And whether it's not the media that's gotten behind him, or maybe he's got a very low-level life, I don't know. But you said it right there, the it factor. The if and the it factor is very important to a fighter's or celebrity's persona, their whole way that they carry themselves in and outside their craft. And, you have, maybe the media's got to get, like Wide World of Sports used to do, up close and personal. Maybe somebody's got to start marketing this guy and see what he ticks and how he ticks and what's going on in his life, what makes him special. Because that's it. You know Pacquiao's story. You know Mayweather's story. You know Tyson's story. We know their story. I don't know too much about Andre Ward's story, unless except for the fact that he's not that active due to injuries, due to other things. But I think that it factor is a very, very good key point that that's going to remain, as far as I'm concerned, an enigma factor.
I'm not sure what it is. First of all, he was never really promoted, in my opinion, correctly. I mean, he should be a household name. More people should know who Andre Ward is than who does. There's no question that the guy is extremely skilled. I mean, there's no question about that. And,
right.
You could make an argument that he's back in the mix. Listen, if you go back in 2009, 2010, and listen to some of the older shows that we've done, I was trying to make a point that he legitimately should be the number one pound-for-pound fighter over Floyd Mayweather at that time and over Manny Pacquiao at that time, when there was a lot of, back and forth who should be number one, either Floyd or Manny. My reasoning was because of the level of opposition that he fought. No one can ever question Andre Ward's resume. I mean, this is a guy that has fought the best fighters in his division throughout his career. I mean, he really had a couple of layup fights early in the beginning, and then that was it. He's a quality fighter. It's just that, to have that excitement, even when he's not exciting. Floyd Mayweather is not an exciting fighter. in my opinion, at all. I mean, he's just not. But when he fights, there's a level of excitement that maybe it's the anticipation that something is going to happen, that you want something to happen. No matter what it is, it's there and it's affecting you. Andre doesn't have it. At least for me, I'm watching the fight. I'm seeing him do all these things, and I'm like, what's on next? What could I do after this fight? What am I going to eat? What can I do? I mean, my mind was wandering, man. And that.
Well, Yeah.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, and that's what makes it hard to follow the guy.
It's so funny, Bill, because that's exactly where I was when I watched the fight. I mean, it was fundamentally a down fight for Ward, but it was nothing overly exciting. It was the same round after round, and I don't know much about his personality, about his character. I know he is a competent, good, professional, solid fighter. I know he has fought and has faced a lot of different opposition. That's quality. But he's just not that household name that his record would let you to think it should be. And whether there's not that excitement or not that, most fighters, you either love them or hate them. And you'll watch them because you want to either see him get beat or you want to see him win. And that's it. Andre Ward doesn't bring that to his, or invite that kind of mystique or that kind of audience that I see. Is there something they could do differently to market it? I think he just fights and wins and starts coming back and being a little more active would probably be the first thing. He's not getting any younger, so he should be a little more active.
Well, first of all, he's a great role model. There's no question about it. The guy's a great role model, except he's a diva. When it comes to negotiations and stuff, he's a diva. He thinks he's, in high demand or whatever. But aside from that, he's a great guy. I've met him in person. I've talked to him. He's a great guy. And as far as his performance on Saturday, it was one of his better performances. I thought, his hands were going. See, sometimes he clinches a lot and he's boring. He wasn't boring on Saturday, but he's lacking the it factor. My bottom line question comes to you is this: can he beat Kovalev? I mean, obviously he's a more skilled boxer than Sergey Kovalev. But I think the size of Kovalev is I really think it's going to boil down. Can Kovalev control the ring? Because if Kovalev can control the ring, I don't think Ward can hurt him. Even though Ward is very proficient at counterpunching and landing counterpunches, because the guy is accurate.
Yeah, he's accurate. He definitely is. He pinpoints. He's a sure shot. I'll tell you what, I like that fight. And Kovalev is a nice opponent to put these two in the ring, and I like Kovalev. I like his style. I like what he brings to the table, and I think it's going to be a tough fight for Ward. It's going to be a real tough fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough fight for Ward because Sullivan Barrera, who is extremely slow and limited, landed punches on Andre Ward. And although I thought that Sullivan Barrera was doing the right thing by trying to smother Ward and stuff like that, he didn't let his hands go, and he let Ward dictate the action in that fight. So we'll have to see where that goes. Now, the co-main event featured now here's a great example. Jojo Diaz stepping up and fighting the best opponent of his young career in Jason Valise, and improves to 20-0 with 11 knockouts. Jason Valise loses only for the second time in his career. He's 23 wins, 2 losses, and a draw right now. 98-92, 99-91, 100-91. The judges scored that fight on that card, Sal. And I tell you what, Jojo Diaz, small guy. I'm looking at this guy, and he's got the perfect boxing body. You know, he's a compact built fighter. His legs are in proportion with the rest of his body. He doesn't have too much muscle. You know, he's just the perfect body for boxing, and he seems like a fighting machine. The way he delivers his punches, he's not heavy-handed, but he throws hard punches. You know, he's not a one knockout puncher, but he's a kid that possesses it. He may not be a household name, but I'm watching this guy's fight, and I'm saying, this guy's exciting, you know, and I'm on the edge of my seat. You know, that's what I'm talking about when I say a fighter possesses it and another fighter doesn't possess it. And I don't know what it is, you know, but it's just a feeling. And I don't think I'm the only one thinking that.
Right. No. And he had that. You're right. It's very funny you should say that. Diaz definitely is definitely a star, a future star coming up in here and everything else. I think he's very good. He's already the NABF champ, and he's a good boxer, good solid boxer. I'll tell you what. I like him. I look forward to seeing him more and more. You know, there's some fighters that you just say, wow, you know what? I liked what I just saw there. I want to see him again. And that's the it factor. That's what you're talking about. You know, when somebody gives you a performance that you say, hey, this guy's a shaker and mover. This guy can fight. I want to see him again.
Yeah, no doubt. And I definitely want to see him again. And I think that he's going to show that, you know, he's a future star for sure. I think, you know, I think he's well on his way. Some other fights real quick on that card. On the undercard, we didn't get to see Daniel Franco improved to 13-0 with 3 draws and 8 knockouts when he won a fight against Jermaine Mraz. He stopped Mraz at 1 minute and 13 seconds of the 8th round. Mraz drops to 49 wins, 38 losses, and a draw. In the light heavyweight division, Prospect Junior Yonan improved to 8-0 with 6 knockouts when he won a 4-round decision over Christian Salazarano. In the super middleweight division, Rudy Puga improved to 8-0 with 7 knockouts when he stopped Carlos Lozano at 2 minutes and 13 seconds of the 6th round, which was the final round in that fight. Maurice Hooker improved to 20-0 with a couple of draws when he took care of Wilfredo Bulavaz in the first round, knocking him out at 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Bulavaz drops to 17-6. In the middleweight division, Aaron Coley improved to 13-1 with a draw when he won a 6-round decision over Ermat Raisgildelayev, who drops to 11-4. 58-56 twice, 60-54 the way the 3 judges scored that one. And heavyweight phenom, the Chinese giant Zhang Zili, they call him Bang Zhang or Zhang Bang or whatever. He improved to 8-0 with 6 knockouts when he took care of Tyree Ortiz in the 3rd round, 2 minutes and 44 seconds of the 3rd round to get his 8th win. One other thing took place at that fight. Hall of Famer, or I should say future Hall of Famer, Sugar Shane Mosley said he's going to be fighting again on May 28th, and he's going to be taking on the interim WBA welterweight champion, David Avanesian, with Roberto Duran working his corner. It sounded like the WWE, Sal, the way some of this stuff is going down. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. you just woke me up with the Roberto Duran comment. I love Roberto Duran.
Well, Roberto Duran. I mean, I love Roberto Duran, but when was the last time you heard him training somebody?
You know what? That's true. I don't think I've ever heard. I heard him train one guy a while back, but yeah, I don't know. And you know, some fighters can make good trainers, but otherwise, you know, I think that the name itself is gonna, you know, be the best thing he's got in his corner. We'll see.
I don't know. That's what I mean. You know, here's a guy. Yeah, he's a ring legend, but you know, my man Coach has been saying that you know, boxing is becoming WWE more and more every single day, and you know, that's like an indication of it. But some other scores.
Well, it is. I mean, you're trying to resurrect some of the old personalities, you know, after years and years, and see what they can do and bring to the game to try to get some notoriety. I don't know, Bill. Maybe, who knows? Maybe there's going to be something in Durant's repertoire that he could be known as a good trainer. We'll see what happens,
We will.
I don't know.
We'll see. Kell Brook.
Can't hurt.
Kell Brook takes care of Kevin Bizier in quick fashion. He knocked him out in the second round to improve to 36-0 with 25 knockouts. The official time was 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Bizier drops to 25-3. This is what a world champion and high-level fighter should do against a fighter that shouldn't be in the same ring as him. Often we see too much do we see in this sport, Sal, where a guy that's supposed to take care of business quickly against someone that doesn't deserve to be in the ring with them, it ends up being this long, drawn-out, boring fight. But I think Kell Brook did what he was supposed to do, takes care of this guy in 2 rounds. What's your quick thoughts?
Yeah, he did. He did it in a dominant fashion, and I agree with you. He 36-0 and 24 KOs, 25 before going in, and I'll tell you what, he stopped Frazier very, very dominantly, very quickly, and it was a good fight. Good early, quick work for early night.
And that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
That's the way when you're in with a lesser opponent. Yeah, boom, should be done.
On the undercard in the lightweight division, Luke Campbell, who had suffered his first loss. He won a gold medal in the Olympics in 2012. Took care of Gary Skykes with a second-round knockout to improve to 12-1 with 10 knockouts. Skykes drops to 28-4. And David Allen was the guy who beat the snot out of the scum, the guy that shouldn't even be fighting, the guy that's a total... He ruins the sport. He's a blemish on the sport of boxing. Jason Gavrin knocks him out in the 4th after Jason quits on his stool. David Allen proves to 9-0. Also in England, Huey Fury, not to be confused with Baby Huey, improved to 19-0. Yeah, they look the same. 19-0 with 10 knockouts when he won a 10-round decision over Dominic Gwynn, who must have been paid a pretty penny to suit up, because I know he hasn't been in a gym. Dominic Gwynn drops to 35-11. Also on that card, Chris Eubank Jr. improved to 22-1 with 17 knockouts, and he took the British middleweight title from Nick Blackwell. Chris Eubank knocked out Blackwell, or stopped him in the 10th round. Blackwell drops to 19-4-1. But after the fight, Blackwell collapsed and was taken out of the ring via a stretcher. And later we found, like you mentioned earlier in the show, that he was put into an induced coma. And from what I understand, he's still in the coma and in a London hospital. So our prayers, thoughts, and our prayers and thoughts, I should say, I don't want to jump the gun, go out to Nick Blackwell and his family and friends. One of the negative sides of this sport, huh, Sal?
Well, yes, of course it is, and I read there was definitely bleeding on the brain, and that's never a good thing. So we gotta, like you said, prayers and thoughts, and support for Nick Blackwell for his recovery, and hopefully that'll do that. And but this is boxing, this is sports, and there are these moments that every fighter does know can happen, just like in football. I mean, I've been bombarded every day. I talk sports, and we talk about football, we talk about baseball, we talk about boxing in the restaurant. And oddly enough, I've gotten a lot of people coming down to visit us from Canastota, New York, and they all want us to come up there for the Boxing Hall of Fame, which I said we're going to probably do a TV show and be right there to report and have a good time. But when we talk about the fights and we talk about sports, it just is something with football becoming more and more prominent, with the head injuries that are occurring, and boxing. These were things that have happened for decades, and Muhammad Ali was the first forefront that it was so evident and brought the attention of the world upon what his condition was, even though those conditions and the pugilistic dementia and all the other things inherently is part of the dangers of the sport, and it was always known. But it took some big celebrities to come out, such as you're seeing now in football too. You get these concussions, and football, I would even say, is equally on par with being as dangerous on this level. You get a concussion of football, many times these guys don't take a 30-day break as it's mandatory in sport of boxing. In sport of boxing, you get knocked out, you're right there in front of millions of people or viewers or fans. You're not supposed to fight for 30 days or train or do things. So you do have some time to recover. Football, we don't know what the heck these guys could be coming back to the bench, and whether they know they got a mild concussion or not, and they're going right back out there next week. So, there's a lot that sports will have to be known to monitor, to take care and prevent. But you can't have fighters fighting with 32-ounce gloves and headgears to prevent this from happening. Maybe you could, but it's still not as the sport has been meant to be. It's tough, Bill. It really is tough, and I do always worry about this happening and what's going to happen with the sport and the people that make it their craft, and what are they going to do later on in life? Because there are a lot of fighters out there today that are having trouble, and they had the ring wars, maybe 1, 2, 3 fights too many, and they're suffering, and they're the unknown soldiers of fighting.
No doubt, and the problem is it's the nature of the sport. I mean, that risk going in, and any contact sport, like you made the mention of football. But Sal, listen, we got to take a break. I'm loving having you on longer, and we'll look forward to tomorrow. This is going to be a 5-day thing. Are you going to be able to handle this every day?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to training for this. You kidding me? I was up at 6 a.m. this morning doing all my footwork, my notes, and shadow boxing against the paper. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I look forward to it, Billy. It's a great thing, and like I said, we're going to get ourselves our feet wet here, and it's a whole other audience with your beautiful audience that has been able to come over and join you on this new platform. And like I said, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about hopefully my New York Yankees and the Giants and other things there when they're going to be coming up in the news, but as well as all other sports teams and events that are happening in the sports world. So that's going to be the whole different dimension of our platform here for you.
And I'm looking forward to it, my man. Listen, you have a great day, and we will be waking your ass up tomorrow morning.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to wish you a great day ahead. And thanks again. We'll maybe touch base a little later. We'll talk about some things, and that'll be great.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Billy, have a good day. Bye-bye.
That's Sal, Rocky, Ceniocola, and giving us his thoughts in the morning. And as of right now, I got to take a short break. And then when we come back, we're scheduled to have my man Dax Khan join us. You remember him, right?
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. Glad you could join us. Don't forget, if you're looking for a unique spice, look no further than Kenny Bear's barbecue rub. Check it out, southerngourmetspice.com, or just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Southern Gourmet Spice banner, which is located on the right-hand side of the screen. And speaking of the BillyCBoxing.com website, check it out, man. We've made some changes to the site. We've removed some things. We've added some things. And one thing I am going to promise you guys on is that there's a section that I used to write a column at least once a week. It's on the right-hand side menu. There's two menus on the website. One's on the right, one's on the left. All of our writers and contributors are on the right. Look for my column, because I'm going to be updating it every single week, and then some, maybe even more often than once a week. So check that out. Joining us right now, staple of the Billy C. Boxing shows, Dax Khan. What's up, man?
Hey, loving this new format. Not used to having to prepare so long, to come on the show. But
what do you mean?
Well, come on, Bill. Usually at night, the day's already gone by. I'm dressed. I look good. The public, I have this image people expect me to uphold for us. In the mornings, I don't look as good. I kind of look rough like you do, and, it takes me extra time.
I got to fix that. Today, we've had some glitches, which I'm a little surprised. I had all these back from break segments that are supposed to be a lot longer, and they're not. So I'm wondering why that is. But, hey, we didn't even get a chance to talk about what you're going to talk about. Are you going to be breaking down any fights this morning, or are you going to give your thoughts on Andre Ward? Or what the hell are you doing today?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things. Well, you've already spoken about a few. Obviously, we want to touch on those. The one is absolutely very serious in terms of Nick Blackwell, and it's something that I don't know if you've seen or a lot of fans out there have seen, that was caught and actually sent to me by somebody. It was very interesting that I really think needs to be highlighted. The three fights we're just going to go over real quick, Bill. The reason why I chose these three fights is for a little bit different reasons, much like, again, as you've spoken, and we continuously talk about, there's something wrong with why these fights are being pushed and they're being made, such big. And I'm curious on what happens after these fights are made and how the promoters handle these three guys. And because I think it's more of a play with these here than actually these fights mean anything.
Well, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were listening to the show, but we had with the Billy C Challenge. 16 players last week. 7 got 20 out of 20. 5 got 19 out of 20. And the remainders got, the worst person scored 17, I should say people, scored 17 out of 20 at 85%. I mean, listen, no disrespect to any of us who are part of the Billy C Challenge, but we're not that good, Dax. I mean, it's these fights that are so predictable. I mean, it's just, could you imagine if any other sport was so predictable as boxing? They would never be able to survive.
No, they wouldn't. And it's funny that you say that because, I have a 12-year-old who's a big fan of basketball. And they have these shows out now that are on ESPN, SportsCenter, and a few other places, about the brackets and how to pick them and how the points work and the odds work, and they break down each fighter. So, absolutely, there is no way that could be done in any other sport but boxing. And boxing in general, when it's done right, Bill, should be the same way. To predict guys, even when I do the breakdowns over the time, how much I go through and how many fights that I look at from years ago, and I compare similar styles of the two guys. And it's not always about, who's on top at that moment. A lot of times in boxing, it's, the wrong style for the wrong guy. A classic example would be Muhammad Ali and Kenny Norton. Kenny Norton was just always all wrong for Muhammad Ali.
No, I listen, I get it. And I also get that we can't expect to have knockout, drag out, killer fights every single time we see a fighter. I understand that, and I'm okay with it. But when you look at it collectively, for example, this past weekend, 20 fights, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about just fights I picked out of the air. I'm talking about substantial fights that were all on either TV or on the undercards or looked good on paper and everything else. 20 out of 20 by the majority of the people got every single one right. I mean, that's sad. That's sad.
It is. It's tough. Well, let's get the 3 fights out of the way. First, again, as I stated, I chose these 3 fights. Well, they're all interesting for different reasons. We can discuss those later on because it really has nothing to do with what's going to take place in the ring. First, on Spike Friday at a PBC card in Washington, we're going to break down the WBA super lightweight title bout between Adrian Broner and Ashley Theophane. First, also on that card, though, we're going to do the super middleweights, Jayleon Love and Michael Kabanga. And then Saturday, we're going to do the heavyweight bout in Helsinki between Robert Helenius and Johan Duhaupas.
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right, first up, we're going to do Jayleon Love and Michael Kabanga. The pros on Jayleon Love is he's a decent boxer. He has a huge heart. He'll dig deep. Love won't shy away from a big fight if he has to. He'll stand toe-to-toe, even though boxing is his bread and butter. Not a big puncher. The pros of Kabanga, experience. He has 24 losses, but they are current or former world champions, world title challengers, current top-ranked fighters, and he has a few in there against guys you've never seen before, but Michael Kabanga has all the experience you can really want. So those losses are misleading. He also has some serious power. He knows every trick in the book. He has a solid jab. He has a solid defense. With an 8-week camp behind him, you have a fighter who can beat or be beaten by anybody depending on what night it is he shows up. The cons on Jayleon Love, he kind of lacks that killer instinct. Yes, he'll get in there, Bill. He'll go in the trenches. He'll stand toe-to-toe. But Jayleon Love, a lot of times when he has the guy hurt, he really won't go after them. He also has a questionable chin. We've seen him hurt quite a few times, and he was only stopped once, but those times he was hurt, Bill, it was against mediocre opposition. The cons of Kabanga, they're pretty much the same as the pros. This is a guy who can bang with anyone at his best. He can box, but he's also getting beat by guys way beneath him in terms of skill because he's basically a professional opponent. His wins are not by mistake, but neither are many of his losses. Final prediction on this one, I'm going to be honest. If Michael Kabanga comes in here well-trained, which I heard he had a full camp, I'm going to go with the upset here and pick the old warhorse. I like Jayleon Love. He's a nice kid. Met him at a few cards. He wants to be a superstar, but you were talking about earlier that it factor. Jayleon Love lacks the it factor, and I don't think the chin is going to hold up against the veteran warhorse. If anything, can still punch.
Great analogy, great breakdown. And for the most part, I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of Jayleon Love, but I think that he's gonna squeak out a win here, and I'm gonna go against you. I'm gonna take Jayleon Love, only because of the mileage that's on Kabanga, and I just think that Jayleon Love, although he's not gonna look great, he's going to come out with the W, and I think the only way Michael can win this fight is if he knocks him out, just like you said. And I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be rooting for it, but my official pick would be Jayleon Love. So what's the next one?
And again, just to touch that, I would like to see Jayleon Love. Don't get me wrong. But again, we can speak about that afterwards. Next, we'll do the heavyweight fight over in Helsinki. Robert Helenius against Johan Duhaupas. The pros in Helenius is he's a tall fighter. He rarely gives up his height. He's accurate when at his best. And he has a 1-2 combination that brought him 22 wins. That tells us how effective the basics can be if employed correctly. Maybe if he gets win number 23, he'll start using a 3-punch combination. I don't know. That waits to be seen. The pros on Duhaupas, he's a volume puncher who works behind the jab. Despite not having heavy hands, he gets the job done with pressure and effective aggression. He uses head movement. And for a big man at 6'5", Bill, Johan Duhaupas has stamina. At his best, he will fight 2.5 minutes of every round, even when he's taking punishment. The cons on Helenius is he moves straight back, he keeps his hands low, and he tires easily, it seems. He fights in spurts, and sometimes those spurts can be few and far in between. He's very hittable. We've seen guys with more than a 5-inch reach disadvantage land a jab on him frequently. The cons on Duhaupas, evident head movement, he virtually has zero defense. He lacks power, especially for a 6'5" heavyweight. He has busy hands, but slow hands. It's not too hard to avoid Johan if you can create some distance. Now, and the cons, on Hellenius, if he moves straight back, he keeps his hands. I went over that already. My mistake here. My official pick, though, is Johan Duhaupas. In the Wilder fight, he showed he's far from a walkover, and he has a solid chin. Despite being stopped, it took massive punishment from a big puncher and a better fighter overall than Hellenius, without question, to stop him. I might be wrong here, but I think it's going to be Johan's night.
Another interesting pick, and I think Robert Hellenius is kind of a real letdown in the heavyweight division. There was so much aspirations and high hopes for Robert Hellenius, and just various reasons. I mean, this guy I don't know if he just doesn't want to fight or what the case is, and I don't even think he's that talented. When I look at Johan Duhaupas, I see a tough guy. I mean, we all saw that chin. I mean, oh my God, this is a guy that has a solid chin is an understatement. But like you said, he's extremely slow. He doesn't throw enough punches. He takes way too many.
Johan Duhaupas, I don't know how long you've been watching him. I've watched Johan Duhaupas for a few years. Anytime I was able to get a stream or something, I would watch him. After I came across his fight with Yarno Rosenberg back in 2013, when he was, I think that was a EBU title fight. Johan, he's a busy fighter, and he does throw a lot of punches when he's able to.
Yeah, well, maybe the size. I didn't really get to see that much on him, but I guess the size difference with Wilder was an issue, but. Hellenius, I'm just not impressed with Hellenius. Hellenius hasn't done much for me, although I think Duhaupas has to knock out Hellenius and to win this fight. I don't know if he can. I want Johan Duhaupas to win the fight. I do, because Robert Hellenius to me is negative for the sport, but I'm officially picking Hellenius in this one. I think Duhaupas will have to knock him out a couple of times in order to get the win in his own backyard. So I'm picking Hellenius. The last fight is the main event on Spike Friday night. Adrian Broner, who's in some trouble, which I'll talk about later on the show, but going up against Ashley Theophane, who I actually like. Tell us about this one.
All right. Again, this is on that Spike card that's going to be Friday. On the PBC card that's going to be Friday. It is for, a WBA super lightweight title. And again, if we have some time, we can speak about how come it's still going on. Adrian Broner and Ashley Theophane. The pros on Adrian Broner, he's strong. He uses a variety of combinations that keeps his opponents on the back foot. His power, while not true one-punch power, is better than average. And when he lands clean, he does get guys out with a single shot. The pros on Ashley Theophane, he's a rugged, awkward veteran who punches from odd angles. He has a tight defense, and he has a solid chin. He's never been stopped. Even in his 6 losses, this guy gives opponents fits, even at the best level. If you don't really, he trains in the gym to do things that throws guys off, and that's why Ashley Theophane so far has always been so successful in the ring against opponents, because you never know what version you're going to get. Now, the cons on Adrian Broner is his defense is very suspect. Much of that is because he insists on using the shoulder roll, which he implores subpar at best. Broner, when the fight's not going his way, never seems to have a plan B, except make it rough and at times even dirty. He lacks mental fortitude and reminds me very much, Bill, of a young Zab Judah in that way. The cons on Ashley Theophane, lack of power, and no signature win, even at 35 years old. His awkward style is a benefit, but he can be lazy. He swings his shots too wide, and he has trouble finding his distance that allows him to be effective. Adrian Broner is going to this fight way too arrogant, in my opinion. He's overlooking a slick veteran, add in his recent self-destructive behavior, lack of professional focus, and I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm picking Ashley Theophane, and honestly, I don't see it as that big of an upset, despite the odds.
Wow, you're going with 3 underdogs out of your 3 fights this week. Very impressive. I'm a big fan of Ashley Theophane. I've been following him for a long time. The knock on him is that it depends which Theophane shows up. I've seen him live a few times. I've followed his career. He's a smart kid. The problem is sometimes he fights and sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he throws punches and sometimes he doesn't. I think Adrian Broner, whether we like him or not, and he's a hard guy to like in terms of outside the ring persona and the way his personality is, etc. But let's face facts. I mean, the guy is extremely talented. He's got hand speed that works. I don't like his defensive style, but he used to stand in the pocket, and I'm hoping he continues to do that. I think this is going to be a win for Adrian Broner, and I think it's going to be an easy win. I think he's going to knock out Theophane because Theophane has never faced an opponent like Adrian Broner, and Adrian Broner, as brash as he is and as overconfident as I agree with you that he is, I think that he also needs to make a statement, and if he doesn't overwhelm Theophane, I think his career is in trouble. I'm officially picking Adrian Broner in this one.
If you see the trend here with all three guys that I went with, the underdogs, they all have that same thing in common. What version of them is going to show up?
Right.
When the best version of them shows up, you got a guy that can and will be competitive with anybody. But if the wrong version shows up, you got a guy that can be taken out quickly by anybody.
Exactly. Good points. So before we let you go, we got more time here to chat, and I want to talk about your thoughts on the Andre Ward fight. I mean, I know you heard some of my thoughts. I just think that, it was sickening to hear the commentating on it from everybody. First of all, Roy Jones Jr. is finished. I don't know why he brings nothing to the broadcast anymore. The accolades that were being tossed around for Andre Ward were just sickening and so biased. I mean, listen, Dax, I agree. Andre Ward is extremely talented fighter. There's no question about it. And could he be the pound-for-pound top fighter of today? Very good argument that he could be. But you know what? I believe that a pound-for-pound fighter has to be active. And I don't think we should anoint him just because he faced all that tough opposition 5 years ago and anoint him as the best fighter out there. I think he needs to prove it. With performances like he had on Saturday, those would be in a good direction to justify that ranking. However, I mean, Sullivan Barrera, is he really a big test? Does Andre Ward have a chance against Kovalev? What's your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yes, as far as the team goes, the broadcasting team, that was horrible. I was blasting them on social media continuously. At one point in time, I had to mute it. Roy Jones Jr., when he said Ward should be rated pound for pound #1 because of past accomplishments, like you said, that proves Roy Jones is done, and he should never step in the ring again, not even against another hopeless fan. Lampley and Kellerman, they were literally almost making things up as they go along. They were cheerleaders. Maybe in a few fights, Ward would be ready for Kovalev. But, the fact Sullivan Barrera is a solid fighter, he has no speed on him. And, he buzzed Andre Ward a few times. Didn't really hurt him, but he buzzed him. And if Andre Ward got hit like that against a Kovalev, even in the Donna Stevenson or an Arthur Beterbiev, you're not going to get buzzed. You're going to go to sleep. That's not an insult to Andre Ward. Those guys have legitimate power, not manufactured power, not power that can be learned in the gym, Bill. Those guys have natural-born power, and they will put you to sleep, and you cannot play with guys like that. So you can't come in there thinking that you're going to outbox them because it only takes one punch, and Sergey Kovalev has proven he's an elite boxer. He's not just a puncher.
Let me ask you this. Did you see, like I saw, that Andre Ward appeared to be acting like he's this big knockout puncher now? Or do you think he was just trying to give everything he had with every punch he was throwing and delivering?
I think he was trying to... I think they were trying to test and see maybe what he has as a puncher. Sullivan Barrera is a big guy. He's a big light heavyweight. So I think, Andre Ward was flat-footed, more or less to see, listen, if I'm going to take a punch from a big light heavyweight like this, I want to make sure that I'm planted. I want to make sure that, when I throw, my feet are solid. So I know Andre's a smart guy. He knows what these top-level light heavyweights have in terms of power and size. These are all big light heavyweights, as we keep saying. So Andre Ward was just kind of, seeing, hey, listen, can I go in here and can I do this now, and what do I have to work on later on? As far as that broadcast team, but my gosh, were they horrible. And one of the things that really insulted me, Bill, is when Jason Velez and Jojo Diaz were in there fighting. That was a good fight. And for about 2 minutes total during that fight, Jim Lampley, the whole team kind of took away attention from that fight to focus on Steph Curry and Michael B. Jordan ringside. At one time, Jim Lampley, why Velez and Diaz are having, a good exchange, says, oh, the crowd, they think the crowd is cheering for them, but they're not. It's for Steph Curry and Michael B. Jordan. Excuse me. You're a broadcast. Pay attention to the fight. You got young prospects here, and you're talking about who's in the house. They're all done, in my opinion.
It's funny. I got another question I want to ask you about Andre Ward and punching power. But before I do that, in that same sequence, they were talking about it's amazing how many stars later on that night when Andre Ward came out. They're going, it's amazing how many stars came out to see Andre Ward, elite fighters, elite athletes coming to watch other elite athletes. And I'm saying to myself, really? Is that the reason they came? Or are they under contract with Rock Nation Sports and they're all showing their support? Or are they happen to be in the neighborhood and got some passes to come? Because, I just don't know if these top athletes even know who Andre Ward is. He's just not a known commodity. And one other thing I want to throw at you about Andre Ward is, according to Max Kellerman and Jim Lampley, one of Andre Ward's goals is to win a world title at heavyweight, a la Roy Jones Jr. I don't see that happening against today's heavyweight division. There's not a heavyweight out there that wouldn't land a punch on Andre Ward, and you talk about going to sleep. I don't think he's going to get past Sergey Kovalev at 175, let alone fighting a heavyweight, at least any of the title holders today. I just don't think that he'll be able to hurt them, and I think that they will be able to hurt Andre Ward.
Well, Roy Jones, of course, had to mention his fight against John Ruiz, and Lampley, of course, had to give a plug for him and Max, I believe, for the movie Creed, and that's why they brought up Michael B. Jordan. And again, you're right in terms of the stars that were there. Doesn't Steph Curry, I'm not a big basketball fan, sadly enough, doesn't he play out of that arena?
Yeah, he plays for the Warriors.
Yeah, so, why wouldn't he be there? Like you said, I don't think they all showed up for Andre Ward. And at all fight cards, it doesn't matter where it is, even small cards. A lot of times you go to club shows, cards that don't have big celebrities on, big name fighters on there. You'll see celebrities at. Just because they're celebrities doesn't mean they're not fight fans.
Exactly. Hey, one last question. Virgil Hunter, is he that good? No. I agree, man. He's along the lines of Andre Rozier. And speaking of Andre Rozier, on Friday night, he was in the corner of a couple of the fighters who won, and I saw the same stuff with this guy. He says, "How you feel? How you feel?" The trainers today are not teaching. Listen. You give me a fighter with 300 let me rephrase that, 300 international amateur fights under his belt, and I'll be able to train him too. Show me how good a trainer is by taking a kid from the time he put on his gloves into the pros. Now, Virgil Hunter does have that on his resume, Dax, but I see a guy that maybe their relationship is so far along that a lot of teaching is not taking place during a fight. And I believe that should be the case with good trainers. I think the time to learn and to teach and to experiment is in the gym during the preparation. The time to follow the game plan and make adjustments is during the fight. And maybe Virgil Hunter does do that.
I'm sure they do, and they've been together a long time. I'm not saying Virgil Hunter is a bad trainer. I'm not taking anything away from the man. He's accomplished. But as far as the accolades that he gets from a lot of people, there's a lot of other trainers that I believe are better than he is. As far as the guy this weekend who I was most impressed with, Ivan Baranchyk is real. If this was December 31st, Bill, at 11:59 p.m., and he was fighting Nicholas Gvan, that KO would be KO of the year. The way he hit him, drove him across the ring in 11 seconds. That was scary.
I tell you, when he went down, that was the end of that, on that. And I have it a little more, 21 seconds. But
in total, but I think the actual punch was like 11 seconds.
Yeah. 21 seconds of the fight. And Baranchyk improved to 10-0 with 9 knockouts over Nick Guyvan. who loses for the first time in his career. He's 16-1 now. Also on that card, Regis Progress improved to 17-0 when he took care of Aaron Herrera, which was kind of a shocking result. Herrera is usually a fighter that goes a distance. I mean, he was counted out at 2 minutes and 17 seconds, and that included a pause in the count. It seemed to me that Herrera had no intention of getting up, that maybe that's what he was supposed to do. What do you think?
That could be. You know, Figueres, I like him, but he really does need to step it up against somebody a little bit. And again, no disrespect to Herrera, but I would like to see him fight another guy who was successful this weekend in the same weight class, and Antonio Orozco.
Yeah, he took care of Acosta pretty quickly in their fight as well. 1 minute and 54 seconds into the first round. Orozco improves to 24-0 with 16 knockouts. Acosta drops to 29-8. Just to round it out, the Showtime card, Ivan Golub improved to 11-0 with 9 knockouts when he scored a 6th-round stoppage over Marlon Agos, and that was the fight I was talking about with what's his name as the trainer. What's his name? Who's the guy I'm thinking of that I'm critical of as a trainer? Andre Rozier. I think he's terrible. And also, Justin D. Loach improved to 14-1 with 8 knockouts when he took care of the hometown kid, Dylan Cook, losing for the first time. And as we all heard, Justin D. Loach was also the being trained by Paul Williams, at least on paper. It looked like Paul Williams' trainer was actually the trainer. But that kid looked like he's got some potential, D. Loach.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of similarities with Paul.
Yeah, the height and everything else. That's why, you know,
and the way he carries his arm and the way he throws the jab out. I've seen a lot of similarities.
Well, you know, that's good for both Paul Williams, DeLoach, and I guess I'd throw in the other trainer because, you know, they're all used to that body type and that style and all that stuff. But anyway.
One thing we have to touch on, Bill, before we end this, I don't know if we want to take a break, but we need to speak a minute about what happened over in England with the Chris Eubank Jr. and Nick Blackwell fight.
All right, well, let me take a break, and we'll come back to that. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Dax will give us his thoughts on Nick Blackwell, who we talked about earlier, who's in an induced coma right now. At least that's what we think. So give us 2, and we'll be back.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe. On the web and radio. He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C. sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show, and yeah, we're having some sound issues. Jeremy's fired. Dax Khan is still with us. He's got some opinions and thoughts and comments about the Chris Eubank Jr. and Nick Blackwell fight that took place over in England this past weekend, which resulted in Nick Blackwell in an induced coma. What do you got for us, Dax?
You know, that was a good fight, Bill, until Chris Eubank Jr. started taking over. Blackwell was hurt, and we could see, and it needs to be stopped. Why referee Victor Loughlin or someone from the BBFC come in there and say enough? The fight should have been. It was obvious the fight should have been stopped. We speak all the time, and I express all the time how referees, in my opinion, if they're not familiar with fighters, they should be forced to watch footage of the fighters that they are going to officiate, especially when there's a title involved, so they know the fighter's style. Is the fighter a dirty fighter? Is he a roughhouse fighter? And they know what to expect during the fight. They can learn they know how to officiate properly, and they also know the mannerisms of the fighters. They know if a fighter, does the guy like to play as though he's hurt more than what he really is, and so on. These things, in my opinion, protect all the fighters involved for many ways. Of course, to expect dirty tactics. That a guy, he can take more punches than another fighter. Not everybody can be a gaddy, but everybody, you got guys that are like a gaddy, and if you stepped in too quick, you'd ruin great fights. Now, in this fight, Chris Eubank Sr. knew there was something wrong. Chris Eubank Sr. at one point in time in the corner, and there's a little video circulating around, and I can send you that later on, he says to Chris Eubank Jr., I don't know why they're not stopping this. Chris Eubank Jr. was concerned. Senior says, I don't know what the guy is waiting for. He's not going to do this. We need to do this ourselves. You need to do this yourself, but you're not going to hit him in the head. You're going to do it to the body. Chris Eubank Sr. knew there was something wrong. His experience in the sport as a fighter, trainer, and so on told him what was wrong just by the mannerisms. Chris Eubank Jr. seems to know there was something wrong. Why nobody else stepped in and did something, I don't know. I have to say that, something, that was a world-class move on behalf of both of the Eubanks, Senior and Junior, by saying, you know what, we got to do something, but we're not going to punish this man to the head anymore. He's had enough. They were also in a situation where if they stepped away, that would have been a loss if they said no more. Forget about, nobody cared about the reasons. As long as he said, I'm not fighting no more, that's, the end result was just going to be, you lose. This is a dangerous sport. It's dangerous for anybody that steps into the ring. One punch, the very first punch, can take a guy out and change their lives. Why this was allowed to go on, it's too common in the sport, Bill. And the fact that a fighter in the corner, a retired fighter, is telling his son, we just got to do this to the body. I don't know why they're not doing their job. That bothers me. It turns me so much against the sport as a whole. Boxing worldwide, it would be different if I could sit there and say, okay, this is just a problem in the United States or just a problem in the UK. It's not one of those things where, okay, you know what, we don't have rugby here in the States. It doesn't matter. We have football. Let's worry about what goes on in the NFL. It's an international problem. England is not a small little country that has a commission where nobody really knows. It's not sanctioned well. It's not taken care of. They don't have rules set in place. It's a huge bed of boxing, and always has been. The fact that it happens there, it happened on TV, it's a black eye for the whole sport. It makes me worry about all the fighters. And these guys, one of the points of having referees, Bill, if the fighters themselves have to say, I got to make sure I take you out, but I can't hit you here. Your corner has to say, this guy is hurt, man. I just hope Nick Blackwell recovers. I hope he gets better. I pray he does. And I also hope this does not affect Chris Eubank Jr.'s career, derail it in a way in his mind. It's that, I can't believe this happened, and makes him, hesitant later on in his career. We've seen it before where fighters hurt somebody, and anytime they hurt another opponent, they kind of back off, or they go into the fight losing that killer instinct. A lot of things went wrong here, and I just don't understand how this happened again on national TV.
No, you make some great points, Dax, and I'd love to see that clip, but definitely I agree with you, class act. Hey, listen, I got to take an impromptu break. Send me that link, and we'll chat some more tomorrow, all right?
Absolutely, and have a great day. And, hey, I'm loving these hours, man.
Yeah, well, I got to get used to them. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, everybody, enjoy the day.
That's Dax Khan. And like I said, I'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe. On the web and radio. He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
Palla tagliata, messa fuori, c'è
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. And yeah, I took a unplanned break. You know, this morning show hours, I gotta get used to. You know, it was all this coffee out of these Billy C. Morning Show mugs. Anyway, I got some stuff to talk about, and we'll get into it tomorrow on tomorrow's show about Adrian Broner and his robbery charge with a gun. There's lawsuits going on about him, and a lot of inside scoopage that people are saying. Scoopage, yeah, that's what I said. Scoopage. That somebody might have dropped a dime on him, and somebody that I don't know. Maybe people are going to be shocked to hear. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll also talk about the undercard for Canelo Khan. That's been released. I want to mention real quick about the Lucas Brown. It was announced that last week. It was announced that the Russian Olympic Control, or whatever their sanctioning body is, claims that Lucas Brown tested positive for a weight reduction drug, which makes no sense. Or I should just say steroid drug, which makes no sense for Lucas Brown to even take, considering he's a heavyweight. And it just seems so often than not that any fighter that fights over in Russia and happens to win, next thing we hear is that they tested positive. So I think it's ridiculous about that. So we'll keep you posted on that. And some other things I wanted to mention real quick. We got these emails I want to read. I do want to mention this about the Final Four, the NCAA tournament. If you guys are into baskets, especially college basketball, now I'm not a huge basketball fan. This show we plan on discussing some other sports and stuff on this show, but it's going to primarily be boxing, football, baseball. We will touch on baskets and hockey as well as soccer, which is European football, and other sports as well. The big news in the sports. But to be honest, I follow the hoops, the NBA hoops during the playoff time because it's always exciting. And as far as college hoops, which generally I kind of like college football better than the NFL now. NCAA level, Division I schools for basketball in college. I know most people that watch basketball actually prefer the college basketball over the NBA. I'm not one of them. However, what a collection of teams in the Final Four. In case you missed it, in case you're just a diehard boxing fan and you don't give a rat's ass about other sports, let me bring you up to speed. The Final Four, which will be taking place, the Final Four teams will be playing each other to play for the right of the NCAA championship. The four teams involved: North Carolina, the Tar Heels, Michael Jordan's old team; the Oklahoma Sooners, which I can't remember them being in a NCAA Final Four in a long time. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't follow it as much. Villanova, which used to be a big basketball school, and they always have, but they're coming back. 33-5 was their record this year, and the Syracuse Orangemen, which they seem to be the underdogs of the tournament, a team that I like to watch because I've gotten to see them a lot. So you got North Carolina, Oklahoma, Villanova, and Syracuse. Now, April 2nd, the Sooners are going to be taking on the Wildcats, the two middle ranked teams. And the number one ranked team, the North Carolina Tar Heels, 31 wins and 6 losses on the season so far. Excellent record for college basketball. They're taking on the Orangemen. The winners of those two games will play 2 days later on April 4th for the NCAA championship. So congratulations to all those teams that are in the Final Four. We'll be looking forward to them come next week next week. So just giving you a little NCAA stuff. And I got some emails I'll read. My man Juggernaut says, "Hey, Billy C, take these 5 trainers and rank them from 5 being the best to number 1 being the worst. Also, please add or insert anyone bad or overrated trainers in the list." His list, he's got Jack Lowe, Andre Rozier, Yoel Judah, Jack Mosley, and Orlando Cuellar. Well, I'll tell you right now, number 5 out of this list is Cuellar. Cuellar is definitely the best out of this list, so I'm going to mark him at number 5. The next one, I would have to say, would be Jack Mosley at number 4. As far as the other two, Joel Judah at number 3. It's almost you got these guys reversed. Jack Lowe, as a matter of fact, you got him reversed, Jugger, because Andre Rozier, at least he's got more than one fighter, so I put him at number 2 as being the worst, and the worst one of this list has to be Jack Lowe. He's never done anything successful aside from Kelly Pavlik, and I'm not so sure that was successful. So that's that. Thanks for the email. I have a long-winded email from my man Greg. He says, Billy C, Floyd can't stand anymore having the attention directed away from him. He hates people to be successful, and he's threatened when they get to the point of taking some of his shine. So a few months ago, Broner made a video in his car, and I loved it. He told Floyd about himself. Then the other day, he made another one, told Floyd exactly what he needed to hear, just like T.I., 50 Cent, Rick Ross, Chantel Jackson, etc. Then a day later, this guy's wanted by the police for a crime committed in January. A day after he dissed Floyd and put him on blast, he says, some Keith Thurman crap, if you ask me. I mean, first the car accident with Keith, then Areola, then Broner. Is this stuff staged because the PBC's funding is limited? Get the fans hyped for good fights, then pull the plug. Speaking of one time, there's a show that a woman does, which I'm not going to promote here. His thing with Al, was decent money. Yeah, okay, that's with Thurman. We'll move down. We'll get to Gary Russell. He says, then Gary Russell situation comes up. Al pays Gary a salary of $50,000 a year plus other money to cover his food. So basically, Gary is like an 8 to 5 employee who punches a clock. The only time the guy made some money was when he fought Lomachenko. He got $300,000. Now for Gary, it's back to $50,000 a year. What kind of contract is that? He says, I think Thurman's a bitch for doing what he did. But if Al was trying to pay him the same bread for a high-profile fight, I would do. See, you guys got to stop this. Al Heyman doesn't pay anybody. You know, it's Al Heyman's getting a piece of that. He's getting a piece of that. He doesn't pay anybody his money. He doesn't use his money. It's the PBC's investor money, which is Waddle and Reed and their hedge fund investors. So, make no mistake, Al Heyman is not saving the sport of boxing. He's effing it up. He's not a guy that's doing it for the good of boxing and taking care of the boxers because he loves them. No, he's doing it because he pocketed $100 million. When PBC fails, and it will, when PBC fails and all that $500 million from Waddle and Reed is just gone because it's an investment and it's not like you stole the money. It's an investment that went away. The investment didn't work out. When the smoke clears, you know who's going to have $100 million in his bank? Al Heyman, because he'll be getting a cut of all those inflated salaries and purses and everything else. So he says. So anyway, he says. A while back, I thought Floyd was Broner in 2007. Floyd versus Broner in 2017. I no longer think that. You know why? Fighters have these guys in their ears. If a guy's got a fighter in there, convinces them to fight, then they often run with it. If someone in Broner's ears even suggested Floyd putting something out there on Broner and Adrian thought into it, there wouldn't be a Mayweather versus Broner fight. I can see Adrian taking the TI approach and taking it to the personal level to the effect of stepping on Floyd on the street level, Roscoe in hand and loaded. I know this sounds drastic, but that's life in the hood. You guys got more money, at least Floyd does, than Liberace, and can't let the dumb stuff go. And I know that this story says it occurred in January and was reported in January, and thus making Floyd a snitch, which I agree with, by the way. But then why until March, the week before the fight, do they put the warrants out? Makes no sense to me. Maybe I don't know. He says, trust me, the powers that be are watching Floyd. They're going to get him, and it won't be a typical story of being broke. He's not going to be broke when this is over. He's going to be broken, and it will all start with a woman. Watch. We'll see. I think Floyd, his days are going to come to an end too. But I think before it happens, it'll be in the ring, because I think that when all is said and done, he's going to end up being forced to fight again when he really doesn't want to, and he's going to end up getting his ass beat in the ring, which I think a lot of people already realize that will happen at some point. But hey, some things never change, and this is one of them.
Wake up, it's time for the... It's too early for a trivia question.
Now, these trivia questions, today it's a boxing question, but as time goes on, we are going to introduce some other trivia outside of the boxing world. Just like our This Day in Boxing History, we're also going to start filtering in some other things that happened on this day in sports history. So for the most part, it's mostly boxing, like today's question, which is one that was floating around on the old show. That's still around. The Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Here's the question. I once stopped a world champion in less than a round, and then in my next fight, I stopped his brother. Who am I? I once stopped a world champion in less than a round, and then in my next fight, I stopped his brother. Who am I? I had been given some hints. Today I'm going to give you a hint that this guy was a former world champion, and the two fights that we're talking about took place prior to 1920. So the two hints, this guy, the Who Am I guy, the guy who once stopped the world champion in less than one round, and then in his very next fight, he stopped his brother. He's a former world champion, and This fight took place prior to 1920. If you're the first person to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win a choice of some great prize. Actually, the Title Bout Championship computer game is on the line for that. So be the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and you'll win that prize.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history, and then some other history, is being sponsored by my book. That's right, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. Now, you can get a copy of Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, by visiting BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com, or you can visit your favorite bookstore. Now, if you want to get a signed copy, just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book club section and follow the directions there. Now, if you're going to show up at the International Boxing Hall of Fame, or if you show up to any other sporting event that you see me there, ask me, because I usually bring a couple of copies, and I sell them for a discount price, signed right in front of you. So today, on this day in boxing history, and then some other history, March 28th in 1984, Murray Sutherland wins a 15-round decision over Ernie Singletary to win the newly formed IBF World Super Middleweight title. It took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey on this day, March 28th. In 1981, Santos Laciar knocks out Peter Mathebula in the 7th round to win the WBA World Flyweight title. It took place in South Africa. On this day in 1998, Lennox Lewis stops Shannon Briggs in the 5th round to retain his WBC World Heavyweight title. It took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey on this day in 1998. On this day in 1981, Sugar Ray Leonard stops Larry Bonds in the 10th round to retain his WBC World Welterweight title, and that took place at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. Hats off to all the Orange men competing in the Final Four NCAA tournament next weekend. And finally, on this day, March 28th, in 1963, the AFL, the American Football League, officials announced that the bankrupt New York franchise, known as the Titans, has been sold to a group of 5 businessmen headed by Sonny Werblin. And the team's new name will now be called the New York Jets. How appropriate to kick off the Billy C. Morning Show on March 28th in the year 2016 with a New York Jet related this day in sports history. You just can't make this stuff up. Anyway, hey, I'm glad you joined us today. And one of the beauties of us doing this morning show is that a lot of people that listen to the replay of this show will get to listen to it the same day. So make sure you wake your ass up early tomorrow morning. We air live on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing. Watch us 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, or don't forget, download the podcast because it's free, the way it always should have been, to be honest with you. At khzaudio.com, you can get the link directly on BillyCBoxing.com. Oh, and I gots to leave you with this. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel, for the Billy C. Morning Show. And if you do like these mugs, drop me an email. They ain't cheap, but I can get them for you. Until tomorrow morning, ciao, baby.